What's up, soldiers? Courtesy of CaribbeanPod.com. In the bathroom, the only place with some decent light that I could shoot this sort of intro. I picked up some venison or deer meat down in Mississauga. I was down there about a week or so ago, and I thought I'd share a classic coconut curry deer meat with you guys. The next time I pick it up, I'm going to do a stew. But for now, we're holding down the curry. Let me vibes it up, man. Before I go, last night I bounced up a fan of the website. I promised to say hello. Jason, vibes it up, man. Jason was quite surprised to see me buying food. I do not cook every day. No, there are lazy days. Let me vibes it up. Coconut curry deer. First thing we've got to do is to season the deer meat and allow it to marinate for a couple hours. Overnight would be even better. We're going to go in first with some salt. Got my Caribbean green seasoning from the fridge. Just going to go in with a good dose of that. There's a couple things about this. When we cook what we call wild meat or any sort of game in the Caribbean, it's heavily seasoned, so which means a lot of that green seasoning or fresh herbs and stuff like that, and it's usually very spicy as well. That's just the nature of the dish itself. Speaking about spicy, I've got here one scotch bonnet pepper cut up, seeds and everything. You can cut that back to how much you can handle, and if you're concerned about the raw heat, remember, do not include any of the seeds or the white membrane. That's where most of that heat is going to be. Next up, one more thing. After you handle those, wash your hands with soap and water. You could run into problems, I'm just saying. Some fresh ground black pepper. I've got here one tomato that I just chopped up, and that's going to give it a nice sort of acid sort of kick to it. I've got a couple scallions as well, and pretty much all we got to do now is just mix that up. But first, I really want to heighten the curry flavor in this. Though we're going to be braising it and cooking it for a long time, I also want to go in with a tiny bit of curry powder in there as well. Mix that up and marinate it for a couple hours. I said overnight, even better. I've got a nice heavy pot here. It's warm already on the inside, but my heat is on low, and I'm going to go in with a good dose of vegetable oil. You will find, yes, I am using quite a bit of oil here. You can cut back on that as well, but you will find that venison or deer meat is very lean, so there's not a lot of fat in there, so we really want to help it by adding that vegetable oil in there. Low heat, and I'm going to go in with half of a small onion that I just diced up, and I've got here part of that seasoning, this thing heavy. I'm going in with 5 cloves of garlic that I just smashed with the back of my knife. Low heat, and let that go in that oil there for about 4 or 5 minutes. As the garlic and onion start to create that base of flavor that we're looking for, one of the things I'm not sure if I mentioned, but the deer meat, what I did was I cut up into smaller pieces. You will notice bones. That will give that curry a nice flavor as well. And I washed it with lemon juice and water, drained it, and I washed it again, and then seasoned it. If you want, you can use vinegar or lime juice. Either one works as well, along with the lemon juice. So we're just going to continue cooking this here on that low heat. It's all about the curry now, and just use your favorite curry powder. And as I said, it's going to be very it's supposed to be a very strong curry to go with that sort of gamey meat. So I'm using about 2 tablespoons of my favorite curry powder. Low heat. Traditionally, people would make a sort of a slurry with the curry and water and add it in here on a higher temperature, but I quite like toasting the curry powder just to bring out all those spices which makes up that curry, just to waken things up, you know. A little bit different, but that's just my way. I'm going to let that go for about 3 or 4 minutes. Very, very low heat, because we don't want to burn the curry. What we're doing here is cooking out that raw curry flavor out of the curry. I'm going to turn up my heat now to high, and we're going to start adding the seasoned deer meat into the pot, marinade and everything. That's cool. Just keep adding it, and as you add it, just hit them a little stir to start picking up all that curry goodness from the bottom of the pot here. Now save this and rinse in about half a cup of water into here, and keep it because we want to get all that marinade. just sort of fry this and sort of cook it. Get all the pieces covered in that lovely curry goodness. Now, even though we went in with that scallion and the Caribbean green seasoning in there, I still like adding some fresh thyme to the mix. And I've got here 3 slices of ginger. Turn your heat down to medium and put the lid on there. It's going to create its own juices in there. That's cool. Let that go for a bit. You will notice the liquid I said, the natural juices that the meat would sort of sprout on its own. What we want to do now is turn that heat up all the way up to high and burn off all that liquid. We want to infuse the venison now with that curry flavor. So first we cooked off the rawness, now we're infusing it with the curry before we start that slow braising. With just about all that liquid gone, it is now time to add the braising liquid to be able to get this nice and tender. So I'm going to go in with that half cup of water that we had in the same bowl that we marinated the venison in. Give that a quick stir. And the other ingredient here is about 1.5 cups of coconut milk. This is going to be a nice, rich, thick, spicy curry. As it's starting to come up to a boil, a couple things I wanted to mention to you guys. If you wanted to do it in the oven, if this is oven proof, so I can put the lid on there and put it in the oven about 375 degrees for about 2 hours. Or you can put it in your slow cooker as well. It may take a little bit longer, but at this point here, this is when you would do that. I would like to also go in with some allspice berries, some 5 allspice berries, and if you ever had Jamaican curry goat, you would know that will add a wicked flavor to this. Bring it up to a boil, then we're going to reduce it to the lowest it can go, so a very, very gentle simmer, and let that braise for a couple hours until everything is nice and tender. You just want to come in and check it like every 20 minutes or something and give it a stir, just to ensure it's not burning on the bottom, because depending on the pot you're using, potentially it could. In my case here, it isn't. Lid back on. A couple hours later and you'll have this nice thick gravy going on here. Very tender pieces of meat, tasted for salt and adjust accordingly. What I like doing is at the end here, go in with some fresh coriander or cilantro. If I was in the Caribbean and I had access to Shado Beni, I'd chop up some Shado Beni and put it in there. Chris here, CaribbeanPot.com. Not your typical dish you would normally see me here make. Kind of locked up when I found the venison or the deer, and it's a something that we normally would cook down in the Caribbean. So bless up, man, and enjoy.